even before the pandemic, our son had been really interested in the idea of homeschooling. And so we had had some initial conversations about it, but it really didn't seem like something we were ready to take on as a family, and something that I was ready to take on top of my full-time job, which in normal times requires a ton of traveling. It seemed like an interesting possibility for him because we knew it would allow him to work at his own pace, to be more challenged in certain areas where he was ready to advance, and to get more individualized support where he may have needed more time. But it just didn't seem logistically possible to take on.
My daughter asked me to homeschool her in 5th grade, which was now 7 years ago, right? I was just like I don't want to be your enemy. And I think that was predominantly because me thinking the structure of homeschooling was like sit down, sit in front of a computer, or sit in front of, do this lesson at this time and this and that, blah, 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 right? So I'm thinking I don't want to do that to my child all day. But not really understanding what homeschooling looked like, that was where I went with it, and I just left it alone.
We did wind up taking the final step because of the global pandemic, for sure. But I had actually been looking into homeschool for a long time before that. So my oldest has a lot of learning differences. He's got like the trifecta. We've got ADHD, we've got dysgraphia, we've got dyslexia, all the disses, so we always had a wonderful journey in public school. I always felt very supported, and like everyone always wonderful team doing the best that everyone could, but it was always a continuous, like trying to shove a square peg into a round hole. So I had my feelers out for a long time. I had already joined some Facebook groups. I had already had a Pinterest page. I already really was getting a sense of what homeschooling was before the pandemic. But that was definitely the final push for us.
And then when the pandemic hit last spring, and his school went to entirely remote, it was just, we knew very quickly that he really wasn't making a ton of progress. He wasn't really being challenged. There really wasn't a lot of work for him to do. And when we realized it was going to be the new normal for the foreseeable future, when I was no longer needing to travel for work all the time, it changed the dynamic for our family. Knowing that he was going to need to be, knowing that our son was going to need to be at home to do his learning, knowing that I was going to be home doing my work and would have a little bit more flexibility and time outside of work hours to develop lesson plans and work with him and support him, it seemed like something worth pursuing.
And last year during the pandemic, when it first started, my daughter only had one interaction with the teacher the whole March through June. Even when she didn't understand that lesson, it was an email. It was a come see me during my they called them office hours, right? But their office hours was one or 2 days a week for an hour only for all of the children they were seeing, right? And so my daughter was just like, my daughter is the type of kid that's kind of like, I don't think this is fair, so I'm gonna shut down on you. Like, so she was rebelling against the fact that all you have is 2 hours for us a week, and we are students who you have just given us a packet of 60 pages to turn in to you. So I will rebel, and I would just be like, I'm not going to do it. So come June, my daughter said, yeah, if my 12th grade year is like this, I'm dropping out. So I just started pursuing, okay, what do we need to do to homeschool, to really, really homeschool? I had a conversation with her, are you willing to homeschool? She's like, yeah, anything but this.
learned so much than I ever thought I could about the way that, especially the way that my oldest learns in particular. We were just breaking through barriers, just going through all the hoops and finally got like assistive technology. He had a one-on-one aid. And again, all the accommodations in the world were absolutely awesome, that we were getting there, but it was like, it takes a lot of time to get there. And here I can help him one-on-one with that assistive technology. He can write a paragraph, he can write a story, and it's imperfect, but he's got the ability, and I get to see it, and I get to see what his strengths and weaknesses are. And he doesn't have to be in the spotlight. No matter how hard anyone tried, there was always, he sticks out like a sore thumb. The kid that has this going on or that going, he felt different, and rightfully so. So it's really nice to take the anxiety factor out to a certain extent with him.
Just the extra time that they're not on the school bus and they're not transitioning, they're not exhausted at the end of the school day. So we can have fun together and we can go take advantage of a beautiful afternoon and go to a park. And I think as frustrating as a lot of things are, I'm hoping that this time it will definitely have a lot of great memories for me. And I hope for them as well. They will look back at how special it was to be at home and be together as a family.